YouTube, Miss Tone, back with another one for you. And this one here is called Cracking the Code. This is a really good book. We're gonna run through as much of this shit as we can. Breaks down a lot of the process as far as copyrights go, some of the process with the UC1 and shit like that, and basically works to expose a lot of the fraudulent mortgages and fraudulent banking that's taking place, and some of the things that you can do to get yourself out of that bullshit. So this is called Cracking the Code. Let's get right into this shit. I'm gonna run through the introduction here. So here's the preface. It says this book has been written for the purpose of showing anyone how to successfully withstand and nullify unsolicited demands for payment performance from attorneys, banks, judges, clerks of court, police, taxmen, and government agents, and anyone else who would casually and unjustly damage one's life and cease being muscled into doing business with such parties against his will. Any who proceed against the Redemptor after having been noticed and are vulnerable for both immediate and long-term grievous and catastrophic personal, financial, and commercial ruin. The Redemptor is going to be you when you put them on notice and they still decide to move forward. That's when they meet their fucking demise. So they're thereby providing adequate motivation to look elsewhere for more compliant customers. Because there's a bunch of people that they can go fuck with. It doesn't have to be you. You know what I'm saying? And so it all comes down to contracts and notice. You got to put them on notice. As abundantly documented herein, the judicial system may be accurately defined as a private invitation only, cultic British-owned and operated commercial extortion racket with only an apparent monopoly over the transference of wealth and control of personal freedom in this country. The prescriptions contained within the pages of this manual can set you free of this menace. In America, as in many communist countries, Big Brother modus operandi, which is the MO, that's basically means the way that you choose to operate is your MO, your modus operandi, consists of bringing down the full might of the government upon any unlucky citizen that crosses paths with its divine agenda, absolute ownership and control of all property and people. Few, if any, can withstand such an assault. Operating a limited liability with official immunity, Big Brother's operatives wreak holy hell on a daily basis against any that they choose, but continually walk away from the carnage unscathed. For those who follow the precepts presented in this manual, such days are numbered, if not over. The procedures appearing in this volume, if scrupulously followed, can render any legal attacker immediately liable for full personal accountability for his or her actions, if he or she should proceed. The right medicine for anyone suffering from a case of more equal than thou syndrome, and the best reason to halt all proceedings. Cracking the Code 3rd edition offers a new plateau of stability and is orders of magnitude beyond the first two editions. The process is tried and true and cannot be defeated if followed without alteration. The non-judicial Uniform Commercial Code has been cracked and is now utterly accessible for anyone who would examine the contents of this manual. As you will discover, the assurances made in the preceding paragraphs are not hollow chatter. This text can set you free. The treatise, essay, and historical material contained in this book are all on solid legal ground. It is not a matter of if we are on the right track or not. It is a matter of how well we read the trail markings that we encounter, because the remedies described in this manual are working like crazy north, east, south, and west, and the successes contained herein. So we have some definitions here in the bottom of the Redemptor and all that. If you guys decide to go ahead and take a peek at that. If you want the book, email me. You already know what it is. It's for free. So, the material in this book can free you of the ranting of any critic. The main failing with professional and amateur critics is that the particular vocation does not involve helping people and getting things done. It just involves tearing things down that might help and stopping others from breaking free of the Big Brother clutches, an occupational calling hobby with a marginal sanity index. So you don't have to be sane to work for these fucks. So when you come across someone who is preoccupied with stopping this process and saying how bad it is, realize that the critic is a company man. He's a fucking agent, obsessed with infecting all the venom of Satanism and does not have your best interests at heart, and likely never will. An honorable critic would bring forth another solution, another remedy for the situation at hand, rather than just sounding a general hue and cry and proclaiming that all sheep should stand stocks and accept their fate as part of life. You're gonna see that a lot. And that's why I don't allow comments on my channel, because I know that these fucking little asshole agents are always in the comment section trying to discourage people from making their way out of the fucking maze. That's why I don't fucking allow that. I only share the truth on my channel. If anybody thinks I'm fucking lying, by all means call me out. And if you got a problem with what I do, by all means swerve when you see me. See me when you see me. So, as with the first two editions, the initial aim of this volume is fully acquainting you with the process of regaining control of the all capital letter juristic name, trade name that began appearing on legal documents, such as the Social Security card in your possession. Following the registration of your birth, the name is yours only in the sense that it belongs to you. It does not identify you. It only makes reference to you. The problem with such a name is that even though it belongs to you, it was created expressly to reference you. Someone else has custody of it, meaning that someone else can control the travels of that particular piece of intellectual property, the all caps name, the trade name. All right, so that's your commercial conduit, essentially, and has been using it for financial gain courtesy of your labor. This handbook shows you how to rectify this situation. Having accomplished the foregoing, the main objective of this manual becomes providing you with the means for fortifying your existence and deflecting all legal and financial assaults from your freedom, family, wealth, property, and peace of mind. The legality of this issue, of the issues addressed herein, are well substantiated in the common law and the UCC, and you are limited only by your lack of understanding of them. The glossary contained herein has been specifically created and annotated to assist you in acquiring a working knowledge of the key issues. Material has been laid out so that the reader can go straight into the practical application of the filing instructions, adapt the sample documents with the detail of his or her life, successfully file the documents without doing anything else. However, such practice is basically treating the symptom and is not recommended because the cause of the condition, unwanted victimization at the hands of the system, is still unresolved. Sort of like being lost in the jungle, finding a compass, but then not knowing which direction is the best way out. And that's the thing too. So that's why I always advise people to do their own paperwork, so that way you understand what it is that you have in your hand if you ever need to fucking use it, which you will need to use it, because you need to put everybody on notice of your standing after you go ahead and file your UCC and all that, right? And that's letting them know that you're taking your commercial conduit into the private and they are no longer allowed to access it. So the theory portion of this volume, as well as the items in the appendix, afford a treetop perch for those who might be lost in the legal, commercial, political jungle, one with a bird's eye view of the whole territory as never before. Once a bewildered traveler gets a compass reading on the right landmark, he can thereafter successfully negotiate any difficulties encountered in his way out of the jungle, because an acquired certainty of where he is headed and the full expectations that he will make it. So whether you do your filing sooner, I would imagine it says later after that, but we'll see. Get to the next slide here. Sooner than later, steady progress between the covers of this manual, however unhurried, will give you a new perspective on the same old surroundings and produce a courage and a confidence that can fuel your journey all the way out of the jungle and into the higher road for a better life. Because the code has been cracked, the filing procedures and background materials are now simple. Matters that have now been removed from the private monopolistic judicial system, and players within that arena have become personally, commercially accountable for their actions. These breakthroughs here have thereby greatly remedied the nuisance of dealing with these courts and the court's extreme formalism and the secret rituals of the inner sanctum of the legal fraternity and the brotherhood. It's all just fucking black magic and shit. That's all it is. So for those reading this page that would have the misfortune of being involved in an ongoing legal dilemma, some words of encouragement. The procedure contained herein is beneficial at any stage of the game. The more entangled one has become, the more complicated it can seem to extricate oneself from the tentacles of those who would gleefully destroy one's life. Obviously, the further along on the judicial conveyor belt, the more difficult things become. However, irrespective of what has happened, the liberation procedure essentially is the same no matter what stage of the game that you are in. A healthy, workable approach is simple to write off everything that has already happened, chalk it up to experience, and start afresh new with a clean start. What is offered here can be completely locked into place in a very short order and serve you thereafter in many different circumstances. This manual will also introduce you with the very real possibility of personal independence and functional sovereignty. Believe it or not, it was the exercise of your inherent sovereign right to decide with whom you would contract that got you into this mess in the first place. The first step in regaining sovereignty is re-establishing ownership and control of the corporately colored, properly identified as your all capital letter name, your trade name, and in any other corruption permutations thereof. That and the procedure to fortify your freedom and maintain control of your worldly possessions thereafter has been presented here in the detail to ensure your understanding of the subject and assist you in your efforts to create a pleasant and worry-free life for yourself. Wishing you happier times. That's from the authors. That's from the authors. So we'll get into this next slide. Two more slides we got here for you. The real world successes. Important. The banking system in America, to mention one area addressed by this manual, is a fraudulent enterprise. That is why these processes are so effective at eliminating claims of debt. Credit lenders never loan anything of substance and hence cannot withstand the simplest examination of their practices, cannot legally support their claims, and give up sooner than later, depending on their level of interest in the particular transaction. The monetary system has been designed expressly for creating defaults and foreclosures and bankruptcies, and it is working exactly as it is supposed to. People, companies are being picked off left and right in greater and greater numbers. We are in the middle of a national epidemic at the hands of the money power and its minions. The only reason you do not hear more about it is because the managed news media, another vital cog in the Big Brother's machinery, right? So they don't tell you about all the losses, but they'll sit here and tell you about all the fucking the houses that they're stealing off everybody. So the main reason there is not a large number of testimonials in this section of the book. Threefold. Full-scale application of the procedures contained herein have been underway less than a year based on the time required to research, develop, test, and perfect documents and procedures contained herein. There is a time lag involved in actually acquiring the legal title for both house and cars, even though the former creditors may cease all collection activities much earlier in the process. There is nothing very exciting to write about when the credit card companies or other debt collectors simply drop all claims, stop communicating, and go away. Credit card companies are the easiest to handle because credit cards have no value, and credit card claims are 100% unsupportable and evaporate upon proper challenge. Debt collector type debt, when another company has purchased the account from the original creditor, it is also very easy, and that shit is super easy. The only time things get sticky is when these types of accounts end up in a lawsuit and the courts have gotten involved. Even then, the little guy can still prevail. It just takes a little bit more effort. Mortgages, on the other hand, are another matter because of the value involved. Mortgage lenders are more likely to go down fighting, but so far, they always go down because they cannot prove that they have a valid claim in the loan transaction. And if you guys need help with the mortgages and shit like that, it's free. I'm not going to give you my time for free, but what I'll give you is the books and shit like that for you to read. The land patent title book and the mortgage fraud affidavit. Those are two key elements that you would need in order to get your fucking house back. All right, hit me up. That shit is for free. A tiny minority of situations are not within the realm of rescue because a fatal mistake made by the debtor and so are not attempted. But of those taken on, there are factually no failures because handling are based on truth of the matter. Some just take a little longer than others. They can get drawn out because some of the creditors don't want to let go and give up. It may be too much of a shock when a lender realizes that someone has figured out his racket and that he might have to stop robbing people and go find an honest job. Another definite factor causing creditors and judges and attorneys alike to beat a hasty retreat is the penalty for unauthorized use of the borrower's private common law copywritten property, which is his name. For various reasons, this system is bringing the activities of the financial pirates under control. It also works in other situations where one's name is being used for financial gain, but handling lenders seems to be the most popular use right now. Below is a sample of different types of successes. There are many more that have crushed the initial assault but have not yet arrived to final completion with title in hand. But you can do it. You guys can absolutely do it. Don't let these motherfuckers think they can do whatever they want, because you will win, especially when you know who the fuck you are. Facts. That's facts. After getting involved in a certain business opportunity, from Mark from Missouri gradually poured in over 100,000, and one day found himself hurting for cash. He got a quick $15,000 loan from a prominent national lending company at a hefty interest rate, but was not worried because he expected the business deal to come through. He put up the certificate of title for each of his three vehicles as collateral for the loan. Mark made monthly payments of $500 on the loan for about a year, hoping that something would work out with the investment, but it never did. As well, his payments were apparently not making much of a dent in the loan because the lending company informed him that he still owed about $17,000. He had lots of bills, little cash, got 3 months behind on payments, and realized that the lending company was probably thinking about picking up the cars. He began placing the autos in secluded areas to inhibit the lenders from just coming over and taking them, but before he could secure the last one, they repossessed it. Shortly after that, Mark hooked up with secureparty.org, did his copyright notice, UCC financing statement, and then issued the lending company a promissory note in the form of a draft, one-page abbreviated version of the certificate of the certified promissory note that appeared on page 10 to page 14, validation of debt package in section 10, handling presentments in the amount of $16,948, along with a certified copy of all his UCC paperwork. A few days later, Mark received another statement from the firm listing the unpaid balance at $41. He purchased a money order in that amount and showed up to the local office to tender payment. The people there were shocked to see him. They told him that the account had been shifted to the national office, that they no longer had the capability of accepting payment from him on their computers, and instructed him to call the main office. When he made contact with the account rep at the national headquarters, he asked what he needed to do to get the balance cleared off. As far as we can see here, your file is fine. You're done. You're taken care of. You got a statement from us? Mark says yes. Does it have a date on it? It was about a week ago. Oh, well, that must be some computer error. Just disregard that. Just forget it. You're taken care of. Well, I have a couple other problems. What's that? Your local office still has my the certificate of title, and they also repossessed one of my cars. So we'll give them a couple of weeks to straighten out the paperwork, and then go in and talk to them. And if you don't get satisfied, then you have my name and number. Just call me back, and I'll see what it is that I can do to make sure that you are satisfied. And so this is the power that you get from filing your UCC-1, is that you have the ability at that point, and it's not just with any loans that you have and things like that. So then you have the power to issue promissory notes and bonds based upon the value of your bond, of the lien that you place on your bonds. So it's an aspect of private banking and finance that they don't teach us in school, and things that you definitely need to know. So if you want this book, send me an email. I'll send it to you for free. And it is a game of chess. Stop playing checkers with these motherfuckers. That's what I got for you for now. Until we meet again.